Welcome to a new episode of the Breakthrough podcast. This time together with Peter Snauwaert, which is full of passion, energy and open for new ways of learning and positivity. So the mixture of both of us brought firework. So enjoy the firework. We will talk about that your past is not your destiny, that nothing should keep you small, and also not yourself. You should not keep yourself small. So join us for this 2-hour conversation about unleashing the joy and the superpowers while untangling your past, about self-worth, self-love, self-sabotage, but also spirituality, the power of visualization and vulnerability, saying, fully trusting yourself and going to create this instant breakthrough so that you can show up to inspire the world. Peter is a very interesting person. He will ask me questions that other ones will not ask. He is the owner of one of the most popular business podcasts in Belgium. So don't hesitate to follow him on different social media, on his podcast or on his YouTube channel. All the information is below in this description. Have a blast!
Okay, Els, are you ready?
Yes, we are.
First question to kick off. Easiest question.
Easiest? Okay, I like easy, so let's do it.
What's on your mind?
What's on my mind? To inspire lots of entrepreneurs today together with you.
Okay.
And to also get to know you.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, because we don't really know each other.
No,
so
we don't.
If I would have one objective, or at least that period that we are together, is to inspire you with lots of positive energy.
Cool,
and
cool.
Also the entrepreneurs which are listening.
Looking forward to it. Now, we are right now May 2021. A lot of entrepreneurs saw the COVID period as two kinds of ways. There were the ones who saw it as an opportunity, and the others saw it as a struggle and fear. What was your view on this complete period? How do you look on it?
Well, the first lockdown, I must say, my business has boosted like crazy. But it wasn't at all the first couple of days when the lockdown got announced, because I got connected again with this little small girl, which was 7 years old, and heard her mother saying that we would get on the blacklist because there would not be any money. So even if I have a great house now, I have a great business, I got in this childish trance, I'd say. Mm-hmm. I remember I was crying. I was standing in front of my husband. I was saying, what if we cannot pay our bills anymore, and we bought this great new house, and what if, and what if, and what if? And my husband said, snap out of it, else you are in 2020, you are not 7 years old again. So in the beginning, I was back into these old, fears, let's say, which weren't up to date. Mm-hmm. Because my mother, I'm coming from quite, how do you say that? Poor environment where there wasn't such a lot of money. And I heard a lot of my mother saying blacklist is in Belgium, the list where if you don't want to get on, because it's, when you get on the blacklist, you cannot get any loans and everything anymore. Mm-hmm. So after that, I was just standing there, and I was so thankful for my husband again, that he was an uplifting energy at that moment. And I said, okay, snap out of it, else. It was on Saturday morning. I said, how am I going to be at service for my clients? And the day after, I sent a mail already. Tomorrow morning, I'm there for you. Get all in the Zoom call. I'm going to give you some ideas, some content on how to deal with everything. And so from that moment, I just started launching a new online program just to be at service. Did a lot of webinars, a lot of free talks, and through that, everything started flowing again.
Okay. Now, you mentioned already, you mentioned a lot of things which triggered me. You were 7 years young, young girl, having a kind of mindset of scarcity, because something you adopted from your mother. What was the situation, if you want to talk about it, with your mother? Was she alcoholic or something, or was she? Okay.
Yeah, you got it directly correct.
Okay.
So both my parents were quite addicted, both in their own sense. Mm-hmm. So my mother, she was addicted to alcohol, and even if she was working quite hard, because I can never say that my mother didn't work hard, but she had also she was always spending money too. So her best friend was alcohol, not her children. So in that sense, it was indeed an environment of scarcity, of not believing in your dreams, of not daring to show up. If you were a gray mouse, then that would be amazing, because then you would disappear behind the curtains, and then you could be part of the family system. Yeah. So me being different was quite a challenge. And that's why also when I was 12 years old, I decided to do life and take life in my own hands and do it differently.
At 12, immediately you decided not to become a victim of the situation.
Exactly. So
and what triggered you? That was that did you saw your mother lying on the couch or something?
Well, lots of situations, Peter, because my mother, when she was not working, she was drinking.
Okay.
So she was also lots of times sick in her bed. So with the little money we had to go and get like Vichy water, because it helps for the stomach. And so I saw lots of times things that I didn't want. And she was a lot of times also at a pub drinking, a cafe, I don't know, something like that. And so when I was a little child, my sister was the one, my older sister, which is 5.5 years older. She was a bit my surrogate mother.
Yeah.
And so we went, when we were already little children, we went working together with my mother to clean all like these apartment houses, this very big apartment buildings. So I can really clean really well. That's a skill I learned from my mother. But I really said at 12 years old, I'm going to do it differently. So I started working. I remember I was 8 years old. I went to do lots of different things to get some money. And then because I didn't want to have shoes anymore, which were wet, and then my socks were getting wet. And then I started, really from that moment on, I was just sitting in front of the couch all the time, looking at Sound of Music and Dirty Dancing in loops. And it wasn't a very stimulating environment. Yeah. And so that's why at 12 years, I said, okay, that was the beginning of the high school. And I said, I'm going to do the most difficult direction is not the correct word, but Latin at that moment, most difficult one, so that I can create my own future. And so on the same tendency, I continued and I started doing university, and I got also high recognition for what I did. Yeah. And then I paid for myself Vlerik school and so on. Yeah.
You also paid for your own university?
Yeah. I went out of the house when I was 18 years old.
And are you still in contact with your mother?
Well, that's the interesting part. Now I'm in contact back, I think, 4 years now.
Okay.
So I was 20 years not in contact with her.
It was by accident yesterday, Mother's Day.
Yeah.
Now, that's a very traumatic situation for such a young girl. So you had to grow up quite early compared to other children. Okay. Now, as you know, everything in life is not about the other. You create your own world.
Exactly.
And also, you have to deal yourself with the traumas, especially in things like self-love and self-acceptance. How did you deal with that? Because I can imagine the first years you are struggling, you're a survivor and you're fighting.
Yeah, exactly.
But you're running away from your own feelings and putting them away by working hard. And how did you cope with that?
Well, I must say, if I'm very honest, till the 28 years old, I did what you were just explaining. Fighting, working hard, creating one surviving mechanism after of another. If I look at myself, when I was a teenager, oh my God, the boyfriends that I had at that time, because I was a little bitch, to be honest. And just to protect myself, from not being hurt again, because my mother wasn't there, but my father neither, because he went away when I was 4 and he had a psychic illness. Mm-hmm. And when I was 28 years old, I realized that, I was a high potential at Danone. I was working with Danone and I got everything, concerning my career and everything. But I was quite an insecure overachiever.
Yeah.
This is a term, I love it so much. It's coming from Georges Anton. It's one of my colleagues, or former colleagues, coaches. And he put that term in, insecure overachiever. Mm. you're overachieving, you always get great results, but inside you are really insecure, no one knows.
That was me.
Yeah, too. You recognize that too.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Because you feel insecure, nobody knows, and you use that success, that performance thing to prove yourself that you're worth something.
Yeah, exactly.
And you think that by achieving something that these goals or those objectives, that these create also your identity.
Exactly. But the big problem with that is it's all external.
Yep.
So the moment that someone I can really, if I look at Stijn van der Vorst, of David Willems, of Thibaut Helleputte, they were really amazing bosses. And Alex Toré, they're all past my, I can continue. Bruno Fromage, Albert Ragon, they really helped me big times to increase my self-esteem. Mm-hmm. But the moment someone passes that does not do that, you just, there's no roots on your self-confidence. So you're like a very big tree and everything is beautiful. And then someone comes and the tree just gets hit and it's done. It's finished. So what I learned at 28 years old, I started getting coach myself.
And how did you, 28, I assume that's like 15 years ago or something? 10 years ago?
It was yesterday.
No, but
I'm getting 41 on the 21st of May, so this month.
The 21st is still a Taurus.
So it's a twin. Yeah, it's like in the just on the border. Yeah, exactly.
But coaching, searching for help on your 28. What happened then? Was it some kind of situation? Because with me, I was like, I had it. I don't feel anything anymore. It was like I had everything, but it doesn't work anymore. So I called a therapist, and I must say it went quite okay till I think I was like 31 or something. But at 28, I still was quite okay concerning my physical health and emotional health, etc. But I must say I had lots of this, eagerness to show myself and to prove myself. And in my communication skills, that was the reason at 28 why I started coaching, because my bosses said, she's like a rough diamond, it's all there. We just have to polish the diamond. And because I was sometimes too direct in my communication, which is still one of my qualities, I would say, but that you are direct.
Yeah, I think it's a quality. But at that time, the how I was direct was a bit different than now. But what I realized when I was in coaching, I realized that was the insight that I was that I got everything of validation externally. Mm-hmm. And so I wasn't accepting myself for who I was. I wasn't accepting my mother and my father. I was in the battle with myself internally. And at 31, I really started crashing. I felt what you were expressing just before, like you have everything, a beautiful career. Danone is ready for the next step with you, and you feel empty inside.
Yeah, empty. And it's a very strange feeling.
It's a very strange feeling, because I had a great husband, a great dog, a great apartment. I was an expat in Danone, Utrecht. It was amazing. It was a great city. And then, I was like, shit, what's happening? And I see myself sitting there in my apartment, and I wanted no contact for a moment with everybody. And then I remember I called my coach, and she said to me, if you now go back directly to work, I'm not going to guide you anymore, because you're going into a burnout. And I was like, what are you saying? No, burnout, no, not me. I can do everything. But it was then the start of really going through a journey of self-acceptance and self-love, and starting from self-worth, because that's always the route to go to self-acceptance and self-love. And then second route next to self-love is the acceptance of your mother and your father, where you're coming from.
Can you now see them as a kind of, I wouldn't say a gift, but they were trying to teach you something?
Well, the thing is, they teach me that I could be present and where they could not. And they teach me that also that they choose for their traumas, and I can do differently.
Yeah.
And I can guide people now so that they don't need to stay there in their blockages or in their destruction in one way or the other, or in their defense mechanisms, but that they can come home to themselves.
Yeah. So the mess you were in is now your message.
Yeah. But also my mother, I have accepted her for who she is. When I go there, and she's still alive, my father died when I was 17 years old, unfortunately. But my mother, I mean, I'm so glad now, through all the work I did on myself, going through systemic work, trauma work, all these things that I cleaned myself up, let's say, I got the opportunity to reconnect with my mother after 20 years. And now my children know their grandmother. And I know, when I meet with her, I can talk to her. We have done things that I never thought were possible. A certain moment, she got a heart attack, and I was sitting lots of times next to her bed. I was never thinking that I was going to do that, but I did when it happened. And I remember I was saying lots of times, I love you. I was putting Nivea cream on her face because she likes that. And then she had this tube in there. She was in coma, and then she came back, and then she said with the tube in her mouth, I love you back. And she never said that. And I could really take it in. And otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to take it in if I wouldn't have done the work on myself. I could really say, great. And later on, we could hug. I learned my mother how to hug. She never hugged. And at a certain moment, I was in the car talking to her, and I said, how come that we never had physical contact? And, I was craving for that moment. She said, I never learned how to do that. I said, okay. And I said, how do you look at that? And she said, yeah, sometimes I see other children coming to the home and they see them hugging their mother. And I said, what do you feel about that? And she said, well, it would be nice. I never would have thought that she would have said this kind of thing. She's 76 years old, and she can connect with a desire which is somewhere under the surface. Yeah. And so, that's what a message that I always give also to my clients that I coach one-on-one or in group is, don't keep on expecting all these things that your parents need to do for you. Also take this into your own hands. You need to learn sometimes them the skills that they never have learned. I can then keep on waiting and say, I have given the message to my mother to hug me, so let's now just wait till it happens. No, I remember we were driving with two cars, so my sister was next to me, and I came into in her room, and I put her on the chair, and I said, let's start doing it. Let's start hugging. And I put all my positive energy and my enthusiasm, and I was like, put my arms around her, and she was like, ooh, what to do? And my sister was looking, what the hell are you doing? I said, come on, sis. You come also, let's do a group hug. And since then we hug. Isn't that great?
It's beautiful. Do you believe that, she was not learned to hug, and I assume also that she has been brought up in also a quite traumatic environment. Do you also believe that trauma has been transferred onto generations? But if you work on yourself, then you can break that trauma cycle, and you are doing your children a favor by not passing that trauma to them.
Totally agree. Yeah.
It's even so that, because you were talking about the normal conditioning is that we think as parents we have like the power over our children and we need to parent them. But my son, I consider my son as my biggest teacher. Mm-hmm. So he is actually parenting me more than I him. Mm-hmm. So because he triggers me on impatience, frustration, irritation and things like that, because he's not always doing what I want him to do.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I have two of them too at home. Actually something goes wrong. Like Saturday, I was alone with him and I tried to do two things at the same time. So watching over him, and I was doing something upstairs, and I came downstairs,
and he was using milk powder, the powder, and he was putting it in a big bottle, and he was putting in some kind of diffuser of water, so it makes sure that it's always the right how do you call that?
Humidity.
Humidity in the room. So he put the milk powder in there, and I look at myself and my thoughts, and I see myself thinking, you have two options. Or you're going to be mad, which is the classical way of thinking, or you can look at it, Peter, you weren't here, I need your attention. And I chose for the second one. I was like, okay, yeah, you did. So can you help me now clean up the mess? He was like, okay. And so we cleaned up, and because, he was trying to tell me something instead of yelling at him and things like that, because it has no use. He doesn't understand. He thought it was playing. Yeah. And, okay, cool. Now, it's an amazing story, Els. It's an amazing story. Now, the whole mindset, personal growth, thing. Okay. From 12, then you become, on your 28, you're like a coaching practice. Where were you initiated in the whole mindset / personal growth? Were you one of those who on his 21st saw Napoleon Hill with Think and Grow Rich, and you read that,
I wish.
and haven't opened itself, and you're like, oh.
I wish that I got already to know Napoleon Hill at that age. No, I must say, when I started working, I as I said, I got quite some nice, inspiring bosses, and which also were reading also quite a lot of books. So we were inspiring one another on that. So I remember going to the library in Ghent and just getting reading all the management books like Stephen Covey, and the 7 Habits of Effective Leadership. And
was that
and
your
so
first?
I think it's probably one of my first.
Too.
Yeah,
mine too.
And that opened up quite a lot of things, because Stefan also talks about visualization, for example, which was at that time.
Like,
what the hell are we talking?
Spirituality.
Yeah, exactly.
But the thing is with that book is that when I've read that book, and if I read it now again, I mean, it has so much depth. Yeah. Whereas the first time I was like, start with the end in mind. I was like, what do you mean with that? Yeah. And or co-creation. Yeah. I was like, okay. I was like, yeah. But if you go really deep into the book, I mean, some people call it even the Think and Grow Rich, the reworked version, the 7 Habits of Effective People. So did you also...
I can reread it and reread again. I think I will always take something out. And by the way, he has also written other books like the 7 Effective Characteristics of a Successful Family that I'm reading right now, which is also super interesting. Yeah, because like the first thing that he is bringing in, can I talk about it? It's just very simple. I like simple and easy. That's why. You always know a stimulus creates a certain behavior. That's not new. But he was explaining in his first chapter that we have this difference with animals, that we have, for example, consciousness. We have some skills that an animal does not have. That we don't have to go directly from stimulus to behavior. And so he was taking all these skills. There were 4 skills, and he was saying, so if we combine that means that we have a liberty of choice. So we can never, ever give ourselves any excuses anymore to be in the victim role, because we have that choice, which an animal does not have. And so all the time we can put on the pause knob, do on the break, like you were doing at that time with your son, saying, okay, let's do like 2 seconds of break. What's my choice here? I can do these both sides. And I like the way how he writes, because it's so easy.
Yeah.
And that was his first additional in this chapter. It's about having a nice family.
But I saw one of his live talks, and he also admits that sometimes he gets angry on his sons also.
Me too.
So it's
me too.
It's an interesting book. I don't know it. I'm going to buy it. Thank you.
It's very nice. But you also, I don't think we have to be. Well, one of the things I've learned as a mother and as a systemic coach is that, or trauma coach, is that you can always heal at whichever age. Also children.
Yeah, that's true. Because, even if you do your best, even if you have healed yourself with whatever.
Exactly.
I mean, your children will be traumatized anyway.
Exactly.
So.
But it's true. The more you clean yourself up, that's what I believe, the more you are, let's say, clean up, fresh, the more centered you are, the more options you have, the more flow you have within your company as a mother, within all the different roles.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
It always helps. It always puts you big time forward.
Yeah, and it's how do you say that? It's then you can be a conscious parent.
More at least.
More at least. So, but there's no such thing as perfection. But for me, I mean, even when I meditate, he is sitting on my lap since he was born. So for him, it's like the most normal thing there is. So he's drinking his milk, he's sitting on my lap, and then for 20 minutes, and then he goes to sleep. And then I can feel his breathing also slowing down.
Yeah.
Because
he's synchronizing with you.
Yeah. So, because if I'm in like a state of frustration or irritation, he's going to project that or mirror that also onto me. So, yeah.
I think a lot of parents can recognize in what you are saying right now. When you're angry or you're annoyed or this or that, your children also start being more annoying or more busy or making more sounds. Yeah.
And also, and it sounds a little corny, and I know it's not 100% true, but if I look at him, especially when he's sleeping, for me, I can feel for the first time unconditional love.
For sure. Yeah, no doubt about
and
that.
It's a very strange, it's like, I mean, people say love is an emotion, but it's not an emotion, it's some kind of state. Yeah. And you can really sense that.
Yeah.
And I think that's yeah, I think that's one of the most beautiful things you can experience.
Beautiful state to be in.
Yeah.
Unconditional love. And as a parent, that's also our role systemically wise, that we give unconditionally and the children can take.
Yeah.
They don't have to give to us.
Are you also, I mean, your children, do you also give them like personal growth books already or mindset books?
It's a good question. I have lots of, I started doing with them meditation and sometimes I draw cards. Mm-hmm. And my older daughter, she also started giving already in our Yes to Me Foundation. We have a foundation for children, teenagers, abused men and women, and also concerning happy parentship. We have some free workshops. And she is doing also already with me the workshop for the children, I'm Super. It's called the class, I'm Super, between 8 and 12. So she's my very co-trainer. So that's great. And they also repeat lots of the sentences that we use. So for example,
it's like a mantra.
So we say it all the time, I'm okay, you're okay. And so for example, if I would be a bit tough on myself, then my children come and say, Mom, you're okay, yeah, as you are. And this kind of things they learn, and they learn to other children. And they are the whole energy of non-judging, because I really believe in that, and also think that in the world we can really make a big shift. And for sure in the Netherlands and Belgium, and I think lots of countries still, we have this judgment towards one another, towards ourselves. And that's the biggest gift I want to give to my children, so that they are less judging towards themselves and towards others.
Yeah, that's true. Now, we're talking about children. You're doing very well from a materialistic point of view. I mean, I have also nothing to complain. They are getting everything, I assume, what they need. How do you put boundaries on that? Because I found it, I wouldn't say difficult, but yeah.
Well, I must say, the first time that my daughter came at home and she said, someone in the class said, "Mom, that we are rich." I was getting hysterical. I was really scared. I called to my colleagues. I said, "What the hell? She's, there are people are saying that we are richer. She's going to get, and they were like, no, else calm down. You are getting, back to the child of yourself because you got, gossiping, etc. Because you were poor. Mostly they don't do that about rich kids. It's okay. Calm down. And I was first thinking, oh no, I cannot say that, I cannot say that out loud that we are rich. And I was like, what the hell are you doing? Why would you not say that to your child? If people are saying that, you say, we have a good life. And then, also in last week, my daughter said, they said, who is the richest in the class? And everyone said Maud. And I was like, okay. And I can now just center in it. Coming from poverty, it's not so easy.
Yeah.
But I think it's not a bad thing that children can desire certain things. But also, my daughter has certain desires. She wants this LOL dollies, for example. It's 110 euros for the box. I refuse to get it for her. So she's like, why not? I can put all the money together from the birthdays. I can ask money and then I can get the dollies. No, forget it. It's not worth the money. You're not going to get these dollies. Yeah. So, but I said, if you earn the money, not that you get the money, but you earn the money by doing, the dishwasher and doing something in the garden, then okay, for me, when you earn the money, get €0.50, buy dishwasher. And so let's see her. My boy is already getting quite motivated. So he has his card almost full for his first €5. My daughter, she's relaxing into it. So see, they don't get everything that they want.
And if you imagine your what's the name of your daughter?
Maud.
And the boy?
Thibaut.
Okay. Now, if Maud and Thibaut, when they're 18 and they say, Mom, sorry, I'm not going to go to university. I want to dance. I want to play guitar. I'm such a guy. Mm-hmm. From my 2, I knew that I wanted to play guitar, but I wasn't allowed. I was allowed, but as a hobby. But I could not study that officially, so I had to study something in university. And I'm not complaining about the traject, but I'm still playing guitar and still playing in concert. And so, but what if they would tell you that?
Now it's okay. The first time when my daughter was, I think, 2 or 3 years old, she said a certain moment, because she loved cleaning, she said, I'm going to be a cleaning woman. And I was like, what? No, you're going to be going to school like mommy did, and no. And my husband said, calm down. I mean, she's 3 years old. So she likes cleaning. It's just okay. And then, from that moment on, sometimes you just get confronted with own desires or own fears from the past. And now it's just clear. I mean, I'm an entrepreneur now. I didn't know all this information when she was 3 years old. You can do whatever you want. You don't need any degree when you are an entrepreneur, for example. Mm-hmm. So he and Thibaut and Maud, they can do whatever they want in life. And my husband has the same way of thinking and feeling. So we'll support them in every dream that they have. Yeah. Although my daughter already says that she will become my manager. My boss, she said, and Thibaut says, I will be the number 2. Dad can stay the number 1. I will become the number 2 in his company.
Cool. Now, you just mentioned having a degree or no degree, you can become an entrepreneur. I have a degree in economics, and my wife, she has like a degree in photography, and for her, there are no limits. And she's a very creative person. And she has like 2 or 3 businesses. And I had to de-learn stuff in order to reprogram myself. I don't say school is bad or university is bad, but I also have to admit that it doesn't train you first as a kind of an entrepreneur or growth mindset. And I had to unlearn quite some things to like for instance, it was not recorded yet, but when I was 25, 26, I was working in a startup in Ghent, and I remember the CEO founder, because I was his assistant, and Christophe Spieler, I also had him on the podcast. And he is what they now call a serial entrepreneur. So he creates software companies, he sells them, and then he creates. He said to me, "Look, we're going to the US. We're going to sell the company." I was like, "You can't. You will not be able to do that." So he really played big and thought big. And I, as a former West Vlaming, in terms of mindsets, I have nothing against West Vlaanderen. Is that I was really thinking very small around the church tower, as they call that in Flemish and Dutch, and so I was like, we're going to bet for. How do you call that? For beers, although none of us drinks. Just as a matter of speaking, if you win, you get the beers. If I win, okay. He came back and he said, "No, they don't want us." And I said, "You see, I'm right." No, you're not right. Wait, they just said in that time. I'm talking about 2003. Yeah, 2003. So the word startup in Belgium was even not hip. It was even, they called it a small company. And they said it's not invented here, they said in the US. So what he did, he said, we're going to take a very old gray-haired guy. Mm-hmm. We call him CEO. We put him in some kind of San Francisco. It's a US guy. And we're going to open their mailbox. And then we're going to do it again. 6 months later, company sold for like millions euros. I'm like, And he did that over and over again. And then I learned the biggest lesson ever. Never, ever think small.
Yeah.
If you can think it, you can achieve it. And of course, a lot of people, I saw that also with my wife when she was, she worked in fashion. And at a certain point, there were reorganizations. And she called me and said, I don't have a job anymore. I don't want to work for a boss anymore. I want to open my own shop and I want to become a photographer and so on and so on. I said, you have to do whatever if that's your dream, do it. But the environment, should you do that? Isn't it insecure and blah, blah, blah. And that's amazing how people are forcing you to think small, and you have to, and sometimes they say, surround yourself with 5 people around you. Exactly. And I can tell you which mindset you will have.
Yeah.
So if you want to become a millionaire or whatever, you have to surround yourself with people who also think big.
Exactly.
When did you discover that thinking big, or was it just?
As I said, I did. I believe I had it when I was this 12-year-old girl.
But was it? I mean, was it something? Was it a silent voice?
Did you see that visual of that? A girl in the rain and she's like, and then under it says, do you remember her?
Yeah.
Get her out again. And I was that little girl, that was, and I remember that when I became a coach and I was in the coach world, I got again pushed down again. I was in Danone. I could play big there, was great. And then in the coaching world, it was like, don't be so enthusiastic. Don't be that. You have to calm down. You have to be zen. You have to be this. You cannot work on yourself. You have to work together with other coaches. You cannot make it. For sure not in the Flemish Ardennes, because no one will come there. Forget it. It only happens in Brussels and Antwerp. And I really felt, no, I'm here for bigger reasons. Mm-hmm. I'm here for a bigger mission. I really am the self-love unlocker. I need to do this in the world. And I was like this chicken, that you couldn't just fly, but your wings are cut. Mm-hmm. So you see just the opposite side, and then you fall down again. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, shit, where is my 12-year-old girl? She's gone. I have to wake her up again. And that's what I did. So I started working hard on myself, and I woke her up again. And then I went for my own dreams. And in that sense, I really felt like playing big. We should never ever let someone else keep us small again.
Yeah.
And it's the same. It's not only other people. Let's be clear. It's a lot ourselves.
Yeah. So is that voice in our head, that inner dialogue, that voice of, how do you say that?
It's also
beliefs.
Yeah.
And the voices that people told you when you were a child.
Yeah. Or you interpret it.
Yeah.
Because it's not always words that were said. First of all, in the first years of our lives, it's through our body imprints.
Yeah.
So you can already feel very insecure as from a baby onwards. Because, for example, there was not a lot of eye contact.
No.
So these things need to be cleaned up.
Or even hugged. They even say,
exactly.
When you don't hug a baby, it even can die.
Exactly. So there's a lot of things that we can re-imprint in our body. I didn't know it till 3 years ago myself, because the methods that I was using at that time, or the learning masters that I had at that time, always said that, something that happened in the past could not be really healed. And a certain moment when I was using my own methods, I started really seeing that I was not only getting healed, my inner child didn't only get healed, but all my clients all my entrepreneurs were getting these great results only after 2 weeks. So we have to stop saying that we, for example, say, I have an imposter syndrome. Okay, so good, thanks for stating that. Let's now get you forward.
Yeah.
And of course, we can have lots of things that happen in our life, but I love the quote of Tony Robbins saying, your past is not your destiny.
Yeah, that's true.
So it means we can change every moment.
Yeah, and we can start all over again every day and try and write a new chapter.
And every day we can decide playing small. And sometimes people say, yeah, but I don't want to be international like you, or I don't want a million business like you. It's not about that.
No, it's not about
that. It's about centering and coming home to yourself and realizing who is my biggest me? What do I want in life? No. Who do I want to be? But who I want to be surrounded? No. Where do I want to be? And that's, I take like 3 months off at least a year.
Yeah.
Because I want to be with my children. I'm there at the school at 4.
Yeah.
So that's my playing big. It's not about money. It's not about international.
That's a lot of what a lot of people think. They think it's about the millions. It's not about that. It's really about why, what's the intention behind it, and it's what's your mission, what's your purpose, what is driving you forward. Because if you drive on that, you first of all live lighter, and you don't need any external validation anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
So
and we can take distance from our biggest fear, which is the fear of rejection.
Yeah. Yeah.
When someone is not agreeing about the way how things are, we can just say, okay, thank you for your opinion.
Yeah. We agree, we disagree.
Exactly. We can agree to disagree.
Yeah. And you have your opinion and I have my truth. And
you don't need to be an asshole, eh?
No. That's something else.
You can just stay in connection.
With respect, eh?
Yeah. And that's the thing. I'm okay, you're okay. You just interact from respect, non-judgmental, and of course we get triggered on each other's surviving mechanisms, and that's what I love so much. Also, if you dare to be vulnerable, saying, okay, by saying that you push now this button, it's not it's not you, it's something that happens inside of me, and makes me feel like this or that. So I need like 1 minute of break. That's taking your ownership, and then coming back and saying what you need from that person. We have so much. We are so fearful of expressing what we need from the other and from ourselves. Yeah, and allowing that.
Yeah, I followed. I just ended in a 3-month coaching, and with a coach who is normally coaching women, Muriel Marie, and it's also from a alcoholic, traumatic background. And one of the things that I discovered was creativity and passion. And because I was really focusing on the male energy, performance, results, and objectives. And by slowing down, getting into that creativity, I tapped in things that I never thought was possible, like writing a book, creating songs, something I never would imagine. And I think that how do you say that? You can, sometimes you can call it a path, but I don't think it's a path. I think it's some kind of circle where you always come back to the same point, but a little deeper. Mm-hmm. So what are the areas right now where you are working on for yourself, that you, is that inner child, that fear?
Well, we have a lot of breakthrough tools that we use for guiding companies, or because I have two companies. One is towards businesses, companies, and otherwise versus entrepreneurs. Yeah. We use a lot of these breakthrough methods, and what I doing right now for myself in my own development is, next to the fact that I'm being guided 2 or 3 times a month, because I think it's important for a coach to do that. If you're not getting coached yourself, how can you coach other people? Yeah. There's lots, there's like, I think 95% of the coaches is not being coached themselves.
I don't understand that.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Because the thing is, for me, a coach, when the coach has not, because I have 2 coaches. I have a male from around 70. Yeah. And then I had Muriel for 3 months. The male coach is like for 2 years already. Because I like to change some coaches from time to time. But if the coach has not scars on their soul, I would call it, I mean, it stays some kind of mental, theoretical thing. And I'm like, I don't believe you. You see? Because, and it sounds a little strange, but if, like your story, I'm like, okay, she has really lived through it. Mm-hmm. And if you have the guts to say, no, I'm 100% perfect, I don't need to be coached anymore. You can't, you're human.
Yeah, exactly. I'm totally agreeing. So, for me, what is my development point of what am I interested in right now is in developing more my yin power.
Yeah, okay.
And I've done a lot of yang power to survive, of course, with my story, as I said, but the last years, I'm developing my yin power. And I'm working to increase every day my energy frequency.
Okay, yeah, okay.
So, for example, you can, the fact is that you feel more positive. Huh? That's, so one of the things that you can do, for example, is really be careful on what the words you are using. Yeah. You can talk mismatching and you can say the things that you don't like, or you can talk in matching language, which is talking about the things you like or you're grateful for. It's an easy thing, that you can shift or change. So I was just before today also realizing, I started talking with someone and we were talking about some things that we didn't like, and I said, I'm there again. So, okay, let's go back. What are the positive things? And you feel directly the shift in the energy, the shift in yourself, the shift in the room.
And do you journal? Because you're talking about gratitude. You also in the beginning of the day or the end of the day?
In the beginning of the day.
And journaling about the 3 or 5 things, persons, whatever.
Lots of things. I always say things where I'm grateful for, what I also want to invite during the day, and the lessons that I've taking along. And in my journal, I also write on my own meditations. I also use several techniques to get answers in my meditations. I also write these things down. And sometimes I don't journal neither. Sometimes I'm like, there's 3 days past, and I put my book again. And I think that's very interesting and very good. People don't be so hard on themselves when they forget it for a couple of days, then it's like, or it's this or that, it's black and white. No, just get your journal back. It's like brushing your teeth. I found a very good example from Simon Sinek when he was talking about habits. I like visual because 70% of the people is visual. He said, when you don't brush your teeth for a day, you also don't say, now it's fucked up, I'm not going to brush my teeth never, ever again because I forgot it. No, you just take the brush.
Do we do it again?
You do that, you take the toothbrush again.
And the thing is, because if you step into the trap of a must or neediness, so you have to do that, I mean, then again, that's not self-love. That's not accepting yourself. It's okay, it's happened, and you have the next day you can do it again. Do you have
this mildness? Self-love is mildness, being mild to yourself.
Mildness,
tenderness.
Tenderness, that's it. Do you have some kind of morning routine, like the journaling?
Yeah,
do you
meditate? I do meditate and yoga in my bed.
Yeah, me too. And the meditation, is it like on your breathing, or is it mantra, or you do sometimes it depends?
It's a mix, but it's like a scan of my body first of all.
Body scan. Yeah.
That's what I do. And then I it's another kind of breathing exercise that I do in the evening versus in the morning. And in the evening, I invite my body to come to rest. In the morning, I invite it to wake up, to be energized. And sometimes when I have a question, I use what's called Akasha Chronics. I don't know if you know. It's a kind of like live book that you can go and talk to. And then if I have a certain question, I can ask questions and get ideas, and then I'm fresh on my ideas for to start the day with. Yeah. And then before then I finally start, I take my journal and I write down what I want to be grateful for and what I want to invite during the day.
And in the evening, also meditation?
In the evening, I must say it's a bit depending. I sport a lot.
Okay.
So I sport between 3 or 5 times a week.
And what do you do? Is running?
Spinning. Running, exercises like a power training.
You go to a gym or you do it at home?
No, we have our own spinning bikes. Okay. And we also have a fitness room in our garage, but we don't.
But you do together with your husband?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which works really great because I don't know if you know the languages of love, but in the languages of love, I like to do it together with him. So that really helps me big time. I'm also externally I'm very extrovert, so I like to do it also with other people. Yeah. To do the sports. Meditation is something else. On Thursday, I always do yoga for 3 hours and then in the evening. So I think it's very important to take care of yourself. In the evening, mostly when I go to sleep, I just invite my body to take a rest. And also sometimes everyone has it, of course. It's kind of to-dos that sometimes pop up. Your unconscious mind can park them. So you can write them down in Evernote or OneNote or whatever, but you can also say to your brain, hey, give me the list 1, 2, 3 tomorrow morning.
Okay.
And I just say that, it's like something else. Okay, that's number 3. 1, 2, 3. Give them to me tomorrow morning. And then I park them in my mind. And then I can just again invite to go to sleep. I always have my diffuser on with lavender oil.
Yeah.
I use lavender. I use a lot of essential oils. And it helps me to sleep deeper.
How long have you been together with your husband?
Oh, that's a good question. We are now 11 years or 12 years married this year, 12 years. And I think from 2005, which is, help me out here, 16 years?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
What is the secret of a good relationship, of good marriage? Because you sound very happy in your relationship. 12 years is already... Yeah, you're not in love. You're in.
I am in love still sometimes when I look at him. He's very masculine and is very sexy. So sometimes I am still in love. But indeed, it's really
children, business.
Yeah. What I think our secret is that we have this same way of wanting to feel free and wanting to do our mission and our purpose, and that we support each other in that. So it's I never had my husband saying, no, you cannot do that. I had other people saying that, but never. He would always have my back and I always have his back. And I think that's the most important thing. That is, and then of course, I think you also just need to have a very good sex life. And opening up for this kind of intimate evolution too, because I think also on that you can grow as a couple during the years of your relationship.
Of course.
So and just sometimes taking the time. So I think for us it also has been sometimes mostly me taking the time saying, now we're going to sit down together and discuss what needs to be discussed and make agreements what needs to be agreed on. And we'll keep each other on that accountable, because I think that's one of the things that we miss in general, if it's a relationship or in business, or is accountability.
Accountability, yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
So you need to dare to speak up and say, "Hey, we said this."
Yeah.
And it's not always easy.
Because we think it's because you have love, it's going to happen automatically, but it's not true, eh?
No, because I where you were saying, Peter, today, that with children it's unconditional. with your husband or with your wife, it's not unconditional.
Nope.
Maybe later when you are old, very old.
It's not.
But now it's not unconditional.
No, I see relationships more as an an invitation to grow together, and to to see kind of a mirror that you have to work on yourself. Because
on which element?
Yeah, of course. So and I think that's because.
But it's also good. It's also a good school to put boundaries.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes when people are so close, it's not easy to put boundaries, and then you could say, "Okay, now it's too far. Stop." You know, and to learn it there in a respectful way, so that you can also communicate to others.
Yeah.
In other relationships.
Yeah. For me, the most important thing that I learned from my wife was the emotional aspect, the feeling thing. She was like, if I was applying, I was with Ingrid Koman. So I was just in the beginning of a relationship, and I was applying for new jobs, and then I called her after when I was finishing a meeting, and she said, "How was it?" Yeah, it's going to make lots of money and a big car and a big cool. But how the fuck do you feel? Yeah. And then by discovering that, I discovered my intuition.
Nice.
And since then, I start making decisions based on that instead of my head. And I think that's one of the biggest discoveries I had. And when I start doing that, I can honestly say that you make the right decisions based on that inner silent voice. Yeah, that's the
alignment between the head, the heart, and the belly.
Yeah, indeed.
You're not a head on a sticker.
Yeah, indeed. And the thing is that I used to live for like 38 years from my head.
Yeah, I can. Yeah. So it's interesting because I could start now talking about attachment styles and emotions and etc. because I like the topic of it of attachment styles and emotions on that.
You can explain. I'm listening.
Well, it's a very interesting topic on which I could talk for hours. Why it's so interesting because it's so clarifying on how we act, but also you can put it in all different areas, also within your business.
Mm-hmm.
So a bit, let's say in general, I think we could say like if we are quite okay functioning, then we have like 70% of healthy attachment style, like we are. We have a healthy attachment style. We don't push each other's buttons. It's all kind of respected. But sometimes things can happen and then you can get into a stress response.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can get in also another attachment style that can give you certain reactions, like avoidant.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Is that you push people away, and you don't allow people to get in, or you make it very difficult.
Yeah.
Or you, for example, be a bitch or whatever to say, see that I'm not likable or not lovable. You know, it's so that's one side that it can go to. It can also go to ambivalent. And when you're ambivalent, which is, I don't know, you'll see which one you recognize the most. But then you can be very emotional attached to what the other people are saying about you. It's like you go and get your truth outside instead of connecting with yourself. Or for ambivalent, people who recognize ambivalent attachment style, they need to do the journey to connect with themselves, to get sourced by themselves instead of being sourced by the external world. So that's also not so easy because then you are afraid to be alone and these kind of emotions, or you're jealous when your loved one talks to someone else. It's kind of things that are close to ambivalent attachment style.
And how you relate that to business?
Well, it's very easy. Make the connection. I mean, if you are ambivalent, for example, and you recognize ambivalent because it's not you are ambivalent, it's not putting people in a box. But when you recognize ambivalent attachment style, then you'll probably get easy disbalanced when someone, for example, says your offer is not good.
Okay.
You will probably have difficulties going to your ideal client because you're afraid that he would say no and you would get rejected. Because you probably wanna hear from people in the business that you are okay, so that you can function. Yeah. Same thing with avoidant. If you get into this avoidance style, then you push people away that you shouldn't be pushing away. You are maybe harder. You're maybe stricter, severe. Well, you should not be at that moment. It's nothing to do with that person in front of you. It's something from the past that you are projecting on that person. I had it I recognize myself more ambivalent. And I had this contact with someone who pushed me away business-wise. And I don't know, sometimes don't know how to handle that because I want to stay in connection. I want to help the other person. So I had to learn that that I really have to respect the space and avoid the attachment style needs at that moment. And because I remember she said to me, I said that I wanted to time off and then you're sending me an SMS. And I was like, I just sent an SMS to say, how are you? Is everything okay? Can I help? And she said, no, I said space, and if you don't understand each other in that sense, you can really create a lot of frustration. You have to then, as an ambivalent, stop attaching, connecting, and really give all the space that is needed. While when you are avoidant and you are connecting with someone which is more ambivalent, then you have to push yourself through boundaries of connection, because you would do that to really stay and connect with that person and be interested and not think that they will reject you again.
That's very interesting. I'm also ambivalent. Although it's because I recognize it, I have it, under control, but I can look at it. So recently I had a customer who I thought was good, and suddenly radio silence, nothing anymore. So I called a couple of times, nothing. I sent a message, nothing. And then I was like, what the fuck should I do with this? And of course, like you're saying, I had to I was like, try to connect and to see where I can help, because my intention is pure. But then I also learned that sometimes a door closes is a door that closes. And if they don't try to contact me anymore, that's okay for me. So I'm like, I did what I can do. And if that's what you need, that's fine, but I'm not going to try anymore. And I'm now very okay with that. So
maybe it doesn't need to go so far that you would make the interpretation that they don't want you.
Well,
because that doesn't always have to be, it's not always like that, eh? It's because they also go in their own fears.
But that's what I knew. I knew she said that from the beginning. I have lots of traumas, lots of fears. So, sometimes you say direct. I can also be direct, because I also can be, and I consider it as a positive point. Exactly. Intense. And for me, that's okay. And I can imagine that a lot of people like too much. Like this type of conversation, a lot of people think this is quite intense and deep, too deep. They're
probably not listening anymore. The other ones are.
Well, I don't have such listeners.
Exactly. You're attracting your field the listeners who want this intensity.
Yeah, that's true.
For example, putting that. Just to give that example, to go forward on that means, for example, after a couple of months, you send a postcard, and a certain moment they will be ready to reconnect.
Yeah.
So that person also sent me a mail only this week again. So she's coming out of her shelf.
Yeah, sure. Do you also believe that you attract, because you're talking about raising your radiance, your
frequency, energy frequency, positive energy.
Trilling, I was going to say. So you also believe that you attract people, and that like this, for instance, there is no such a thing as coincidence. It happens that you attract certain energies, and I also push away certain energies.
I believe that you can create your own field.
Also with customers.
And you have to be consequent. I have refused people in our Play Big program several times.
Because it feels off?
Because they're not ready, because they are judgmental still. So for me, with the work I'm doing, I need to create safety as from the first minute.
Okay.
Because people go very deep and they clean up their shit and then they sparkle like they never did before. But we need to create this safety. And when I had, for example, someone and she said, I'm so more advanced than everyone in this group. And,
that's what sometimes they call it also spiritual bypass. That's kind of arrogance.
Well, ego. Yeah, I don't think that's very spiritual when you think these kind of things.
No.
And so, and then, then I hear certain things. I put, let's say, the mirror. And at that moment, when people don't take the mirror and they're not ready to be coached, I cannot help them.
And you do that in some kind of pre-intake?
Well, we have, we mostly connect with people and we do lots of things in our marketing that people can experience us, but also we can experience them.
Okay.
That means, so that's what I said, you need to be consequent. And then, for example, I also had to take one person out already when we were starting, and it was the best decision ever because everyone of the group had problems with it. And no one was, from I'm okay, you're okay, didn't dare to say.
But you also see it in teams, when we have removed 2 people from the team, they're good people, but not in that field. And we remove them, and I'm not saying suddenly, but then it pops, and the results were extraordinary. Yeah, and it keeps on growing and growing by removing 2 people or 1 person with a complete other vibe, intention, energy. Yeah. And you think, 4 is better than 3? No, it's not.
It can even be the most competent people, but it's about the attitude. It's about the energy. It's about, in my field, there are only uplifting people with whom you can be yourself, people who will stimulate you to be yourself. And sometimes, when I'm like this weekend and confronted with a new bakery lady, and she's like, I like a bakery woman or bakery lady, and she has really great, I don't know, coffee cooker, I don't know, biscuits that you can eat, breakfast biscuits. Then I'm like, I'm so glad that she's normally not in my bubble, or not in my cocoon, or not in my field, I think we really can also change lots of people, not everyone, not her, but, other people that you come and pass by on the street, you can smile. You can say something positive. So, I'm very severe on that. I'm really maybe even a junkie on that to really...
To see who is going to let in, who is coming to the VIP club of
but who are my friends, who is around me?
And me too.
Who is my teachers?
Me too. Did that change over time a lot?
Yeah,
because
big time.
I know lots of people, but there are not a lot of people who I let in. So that also changed a lot during the years?
Yeah, for sure. The last years when I was really, I could really feel the difference. I have now a group of friends with whom I also do lots of sports, and it's just so much fun, It's like we're making jokes, we are enjoying ourselves, we're like sometimes like little small children, and it's such a nice space to be in, to be surrounded by people where you can be yourself. And I've heard so many times in Belgium, you are too American, you're too enthusiastic,
why are you too American?
Because I'm enthusiastic. Sometimes when I ask, there was a new CEO starting a trajectory with us, a one-on-one, and he said, I like it that you are a bit American. And I said, what do you mean with American? And because I like it, just to understand what do they mean with it. Because you are so positive and you're enthusiastic. Okay, so that's American.
But I know why they say that. It's because we're not used to that. We're trained to see the negative part and to stay in the middle.
Yeah, even below. Look at where, for sure, in Belgium, when you look at the capitalism and everything.
Yeah.
So it's like you cannot have a good life. No, that's what we have to break through and have. Everyone is allowed, has the birthright to have a good life, and the good life can be filled in based on your play big version of whatever that means.
Now, Els, you're 30 plus. If you would go back, if you would go back in time with a DeLorean, because you mentioned Dirty Dancing, I played even Sunday, The Time of My Life of Jennifer Warnes and Bill Medley, or was his name? And what would you? And you would meet the Els when she was 18 and she was standing in front of the university building. What would you say to her in terms of advice, or what would you say to her?
That everything will be all right.
And who is Els Valaco within 10 years?
I even get tears in my eyes. Yeah.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah.
Why? You feel again what she's feeling?
Well, she was only 18 years and she went out of home and she was working, to pay university herself and everything. So she felt quite lonely sometimes also. So that everything will be all right.
And everything is all right now.
Yeah, yeah. It was also all right at that time. It just was already so much better than where she was coming from.
Yeah, it's such a story of strength. It's something I admire, because I didn't know that story. I knew there was something in that space because your colleague sent me your bio. But there's a difference in reading something in a couple of lines and then hearing the story. It's I have tremendous respect for you. It's
Thank you.
Yeah, because I was searching you on the internet like an hour ago, and I was like, can I find something? It was like mindset and things like that. And then you see the depth, the foundation of Els, and it's amazing. Now, within 10 years, who are you?
I'm just me, like I'm now. I'm just evolved, of course. I will have grown in my insights and. But if you would ask someone who knows me 15 years ago, I mean, I'm still that same Els. I'm just grown in my positivity, and so I will keep on growing and being positive in life, inviting life, listening to the universe and what the presents that they want to give me. And 10 years, then my daughter will be 18.
Yes.
And she will be standing before maybe university or not.
Holding your hands.
So that will probably be also another part of my life.
And letting go of her hands.
Yeah. Cutting the, I don't know.
I know.
The cord even more. And probably I will be, that's one of my ideas, to be one of the most asked, not coach me only, but the most asked coaches in the group of Europe. So the first country that we want to conquer is Denmark, Sweden. I really like people because they're so open-minded there.
And also direct,
And they really match. We are working like 60%, no, I'm not saying it correct. 45% of our clients are Dutch, from the Netherlands.
From the Netherlands, yeah.
From the Netherlands. So let's say in that direction. That's so there will be more present in Europe, and who knows, even beyond.
And they're very, compared to the Belgian mindset, they're very, even the Netherlands are years ahead, but even Denmark and Sweden are very innovative.
Yeah, I like it.
It's, it's in terms of adoption.
But the thing is that, concerning, still with the work I'm doing, I'm still quite pioneer in what I'm doing, combining all these things, like you were saying before we started the conversation, business with spirituality, with mindset, with body-based trauma work, with systemic work, all combining these things is quite still new. For sure, combining it with marketing and sales insights, for example.
Yes. And also the fact you don't look like some kind of ayahuasca eating female with like long hair. And
wait till I put my hair up.
And screaming namaste, which is nothing against that, but it's I mean, it's good to be spiritual, but being spirit is also being grounded. It's okay to mix these two worlds because we're human beings. And the business is then an extension of who you really are.
Yeah, and it's also part of doing it here in this world and in on the earth.
Manifesting it.
Yeah, exactly. In the material part, which is also, if you look in on the chakras, if someone knows chakra, it's your root chakra. It's the materialization of what you can do. So I'm not scared anymore, for example, for money. And I think, and that's what I'm also, for example, inspiring other people that they can embrace that too. But what were we talking about before we were...
We were talking about the fact that you are pioneering.
Yeah.
And we're talking about 10 years ahead that you're pioneering, combining spirituality with business and chakras.
Lots of my teachers are telling me also,
who are your teachers?
Oh, I have lots of them. I have like 45 degrees or something in my on my coaching skills. Which are my teachers at this moment. For example, Indra Torsten Prijs, which is a systemic teacher. Okay. Amanda Lees is my Akasha chronic teacher. I have Andrea Wandel, which is my body-based trauma teacher. So these are kind of the people who are coming up right now, but I have lots of them in the past also that I could honor. I could make a list of so many people. I also listen almost daily to Abraham Hicks. I love it because it's so just so funny. You know, she makes a joke out of it. It's just also so clear. I like it. This is how my team is play big, but doing it, playing big on an easy way, easy life, easy business, easy business.
In the vortex.
Yeah, just easy. Yeah.
I'm a very big fan, and I like the way how she talks and the fun and the humor of it, and it's all simple.
Yeah, that's what I like. Simple.
It's not about easy. This or this. No, it's simple. It's it's a good one.
And what I would recommend everyone is also the book of The Power of Attachment that I was talking about, attachment style. It's Diana Heller. It's an American lady, because she has been able to write it down simple, like Peter Levenger. He also has been able to translate it in simple language. I think we need lots of these teachers. Yeah. Like us also, because we also explain in a simple way. Yeah. Lots of before, at least also in some of my own teachers, they make it so complex and so mystic.
Yeah, and that's the thing. With this podcast, it looks like a sales podcast, but actually I want to make these kind of topics in such a simple way that I wouldn't say it becomes mainstream, but it becomes accessible for a lot of people who are not aware of that and who are struggling in life. When sometimes I receive, like via Instagram, a message from a woman or a man saying, "Oh, I heard something from there, and I started to search for a coach, and I did something with the trauma." I'm like, then I'm like, I changed a soul, his life or her life. Great. And afterwards you receive like these messages via WhatsApp. I'm like, this is amazing that you can spread this kind of message. Yeah, that's cool, eh?
Congratulations.
Cool. Yeah. But also, I mean, if I look at the sales team that I manage is the same there. These are 25, 24 young people. And people ask me then, are you doing some sales training and managing pipeline? No, I hate that shit. Fuck it. I only do personal growth and mindset with them. So it's about recognizing please behavior. So this is to please, thinking that they're small and things like that, and becoming the best version of themselves. And okay, they don't want to read yet, but they are injected with that. And my heart is so enthusiastic when I see them grow and saying no. Like today, Peter mentioned to me, no, this, because I said, do you really want to work on that project? Because like a couple of months ago, he said, yeah, I want to work on that project. It's a big prospect and blah, blah, blah. I said, do you really want to work with that? Because I know them very well. I don't think it's a match, but you decide. It's your decision. And then there came an RFP, so a request for proposal, so a tender. And he called and he said to me, Peter, I'm going to do a qualification. I'm going to call them and see. And he said, just feel. And if it feels off, say no. and he called them and he said, we're not going to participate for this and this reason. And the prospect was like, yeah, and blah, 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 and I don't care anymore. And he was like, shit. And I have invested 2 years in you, and you give me this arrogant statement. We're not going to participate. Thank you. 1 year ago, he would participate in every tender, and it was like,
and it takes
I have
so
to work
much
so
time
much, so much work and blah, blah, blah. And he's now, no. And then in the evening he came, Peter, we won that deal. I was like, you see, and it's working. It's all that, it's
You're
energy.
an amazing manager.
Yeah. I'm not a manager. It's a leader. I hate the word manager.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, a manager like on top of them, but I'm under them.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most important thing.
But that's a leader, is the role model, is the one they follow.
Yeah. But I also think that it's something maybe you do, is bringing that mix of business, sales, marketing, personal mindset, a personal growth mindset, and spirituality even into the more business or organizations.
It's essential.
Yeah, but it isn't there yet. It's
very pioneer work still.
Yeah, I consider myself and also the work that you do as like 3 to 5%, especially in Belgium. But because, like I mentioned before,
but the people who open up for it, the ones that get attracted by ons, for example, by you or by me, and like you were saying, who open up to go for search for a coach, as you were mentioning on Instagram, etc. You change these people's life.
Yeah.
So the people all the people, I get goosebumps everywhere now. The people who dare to step into our field, and who open up, we change people's life. Even the moment that they say yes to our programs, their life starts to change. Yeah, because it's amazing.
And that's that's the reason why I don't have a coaching practice. Because right now I'm in a situation where I can say goodbye, because they have to do something with it. They have to take action and take responsibility for themselves. Whereas I have been in situations where I've played, it's 2 or 3 years ago, where I've coached some CEOs of software companies, and we hit that spot of them, that working area. You have to work on that and that, and they recognize it immediately, but there was no action, and I was quite frustrated. And I think like, oh man, come on, you know it, you recognize it. We meet each other again. There isn't going to be no follow up anymore because you didn't take any action. And then at that time, I decided that truth that you are doing, I don't think that's my path. This is my path. You see?
Well, it's an important point that you are mentioning, and that's exactly playing big on your terms in your business. So it's one of the first rules that we say to our clients is you'll have to get into action.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you cannot work with us. You will not be the same person in 2 months. You will not be talking about the same topic in 2 months. So if you want to be in status quo and you want to keep in the victim role, you don't spend any money.
Yeah.
And we also ask a certain amount of money so that, first of all, they get the top of the top. I really believe we are world class. And second of all is that by spending money,
you have to do it.
They are more like, okay, I spend so much money, I need to
make it sure that it returns. The thing is that
we could keep on talking.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm like, it's already almost half an hour and 30 minutes. But you mentioned action, and one of the things that my coach obliged me was that I'm the other side. When I see something, I take immediately action, and I stay in the action all of the time. Like when the first lockdown came, I worked day and night, except when I was feeding Jules, and also around 6 or 7, I put him in his bath and in his bed and things like that, because I find it very important. But besides that, producing. And then I also learned recently, sometimes you have to put that pause button and really ask yourself, why am I being busy all the time, and staying in the action. And so right now, I think, yes, you have to come into action. And a lot of people don't do that. They blah, blah, blah.
What's the definition of action? Huh?
Yeah. But for me, I call it aligned action. So it's aligned action with your purpose, with the energy, and instead of just action for the action.
Nice, I can feel it.
Yeah.
But what is the definition of action? Indeed, aligned action is a very beautiful word, because action can also be sitting here and just sitting here.
For me, this is action. What are we doing?
Yeah, but for example, how do you call when you're sitting aside of a lake and you're looking at the water?
For me, that's also action, because you tap into creativity and ideas, and that's one idea can change an industry, can change your complete life. If I wouldn't have stopped and stepped into that creativity, because I wouldn't, he said, how are you going to spark your creativity? And I was like, play guitar, then play guitar. So I did. I even recorded them. I put them on Facebook just and also there were two parts of it. First was the external validation. So you have to put them there, and no external validation. You don't care. You look at it and you don't care about it. What people say, positive or negative, you don't care. So that's first, the one test. And the second is that I could feel when I was playing, from my head or from my heart. Because if I was playing from my head, it was like, I have to give all these notes and I have to do this, and people, no. And then from my heart, it was like a couple of notes, but with so much intensity and so much power and passion that you can even feel that note, even like 2 or 3 weeks after you visit that video. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but that gave me access to other creativity. Like, for instance, writing a book, like in a couple of the evenings, writing 45, 50 pages.
It's a total other action.
And then suddenly all the opportunities came. A podcast masterclass, then another masterclass, then a selling masterclass, then another selling masterclass. So all courses of things that I learned, and I'm going to sell that. And I would never, and it all happened in a couple of months.
Yeah, so the thing is, as an entrepreneur or if you're a business, or it doesn't matter, you need to indeed work on your alignment.
Yeah.
And as we said, head, heart, belly, connected with your why you are on this earth. What is your purpose?
Yeah.
What are you bringing? And when you can align with that, with these two elements, then you do not feel fearful. You don't feel this panic. If you invite your soul extra, for sure not. You will not feel any. So the thing is, indeed, what is the definition of action? Sometimes it's, for me, for example, I'm going towards a business where I work only half time, and the other rest of the day I can maybe just sit and tune in, or be in the forest, or doing yoga, or swimming in my pool, which I'll have normally in a month or and a half. And then indeed you can become even a bigger magnet. Yeah,
that's true. Because a lot of people think it's the doing. No, it's
the being.
A lot of people think it's do, have, be. So they do a lot of things, then they have lots of things, and they will become somebody. They'll be somebody. But it's just the other way around. It's be, do, have. It's about that being.
Yeah, but to be able to do that, sometimes you need to act.
Yeah.
For example, if I would have continued doing training and coaching all these beautiful companies where I work, like Proximus and everything, I would the whole time be everywhere in Belgium, and I wouldn't have that time. So you have to indeed make certain decisions, do certain actions, and still being. And for lots of people, being is a lot more difficult than doing.
Yeah, indeed, because they have to feel.
Yeah,
and also I had a discussion with a colleague today, and I was like, he was 23, and I was like, it was a coaching meeting, and I asked him, can you sit in a chair and do nothing? No, it's such a waste of time. And I said to him, that's so wrong. It's not a waste of time. It's not even another colleague, a female, a woman. do you ever sit still and wonder what you are feeling with this kind of situation? What this do with you? Never, because I don't have the time. And I was like, you're missing a lot of the fun. And also the fact is that maybe one day you're going to be in a place which is going to be so far from who you really are. And life is going to put you on your knees and tell, maybe you should do things differently.
Everyone needs to learn their lessons at their time in life.
And tempo, eh?
And 23, the life cycles of a woman are every 7 years. For a man, it's every 9 years. So a man of 23 doesn't always have the wisdom yet, like you have.
No, but I'm 25.
Yeah, I knew.
Now, if you, what is still your?
But the thing is, for example, if I look now, I have an amazing, talented coach, Jordan. He's 20 years old, and he can do all these things. And he is like a natural talent, gifted, and he can indeed stand still or sit and feel and check what's going on and what are my options. So it really depends also on your personality, on what you have learned in life.
I have another question which pops up right now. You work with amazing people around you. How big is your team?
We're 8 coaches now.
8 coaches, okay.
Plus
they work for you?
They are part of my team, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I had a female entrepreneur who contacted me via Instagram today, and she's quite successful already. Very passive income, scaling, and she said, right now I'm working with like 2 VAs and 2 copywriters and a video, how do you call that, an editor, eh? And she's like, but I can be a very bitchy woman. I'm not good in the people management department. I'm saying it in my own words. And she said, I'm going to take another course, how to become a good leader. So, I mean, first of all, how do you select good people around you? Because I assume that you also had people who didn't fit into your team. So you also have a journey there. So what can you discover there? Or share?
For me, the most important thing is that they're linked with your core values and with your purpose that when you want to put into the world. So
how do you do that? And is it by a conversation?
For example, or the red line during in Yes to Trust or in the Els Verlaken Breakthrough Academy is I'm okay, you're okay. So, which is no judgment. It's no gossiping. It's lifting each other up. So that's like the first rule, and it's very clear for everyone. I make it also very clear for everyone. 1 shot and you're out. And 1 time gossiping, 1 time this or that, you're out. So it's a very clear rule. And because we give so much energy and so much focus to that other part, saying gratefulness, uplifting power, helping each other, all my coaches are saying, we never had this environment, like I never ever had that in any of the companies that I worked for, what we have here as a team. So it's an amazing gift this is the first one. And the second is to be aligned with, it's the 4th systemic law. There's the first one is everything and everyone has to, and all the things that happen need to get a place. The second is they need to be on the right place, on the right order. The third one is that there is giving and taking in balance. And the 4th law is that there should be destination. People need to connect with the destination of the company. So they all connect with the destination to help entrepreneurs and businesses to build trust within themselves, to come home in their body, to see that they are okay as they are, that they can embrace their family's history. So work towards that self-love. So they feel it in every fiber of their cells. And then, so this is my coach team. I also have a lift-off team, and the lift-off team is the team that is executing is kind of an ugly word. Is lifting up all the marketing and the sales, so that that someone is working on active campaign, marketing funnels, someone on the website, someone on the graphical design and so on. And also there, I keep on going till I have the best ones.
But how do you do that then?
How do I do it? First of all, I screen their CV. That's based on their competences, but that's the easy part, let's say. Then what I've learned is to trust my guts more.
Okay.
So I'm talking to these people and I'm feeling.
Like in a couple of meetings, you feel this is okay?
No,
or not?
Yeah, not even in the first meeting. I need to be able to judge that because I also don't want to put so much time in selecting people. So what I do is I feel a lot in what they're saying, and what does my body say? How happy do I get by connecting with that person? When at the end of the conversation, I decide, could be something. I give them like very small little jobs to begin with. And based on that, I can very easily see their competences, their speed, and their ability, yes or no, to handle my speed because I have a high energy. So if they cannot manage, that's something that I decided. There was one of my clients and she sent me this quote because she was handling the same thing in her team. And she said, it was, I don't know, if you cannot take the heat, get out of my kitchen. So I'm a really great leader. I validate them like crazy. All the lift of people like me and love me, but they also know that my expectations are high. I don't like it, for example, when there's a mailing leaving of 2 years ago because the funnel was not put on. Sometimes I do sell based on that one mail that is from 2 years ago. I'm like, what? There's 10 things. What did I sell? What is this? But I do like it when things just go fluently and easy, as I said.
So to give to summarize, to give the advice to that female entrepreneur is to follow your guts in how you select people. But is there something she can work on herself?
Yeah, for sure. Because concerning this bitchiness, that's probably also because there's still hardness.
Of course. Yes.
Hardness towards herself, hardness towards the others, judgment towards us. If I, for example, I'm honest, there's still one function. Sometimes I'm saying, why does it take such a long time? I can do it faster. While on the other functions, I'm quite okay with it. So she'll have to work on that hardness and connection with people, because if you really want to work with great people, you'll have to be a nice person to work with. Otherwise, they will say, fuck you, I'll go to somewhere else. So again, I'm coming back. I'm sorry to I'm okay, you're okay, which is from transactional analysis also in a grown-up way of talking to one another, respecting one another, seeing the strengths. In my team, I work with the people on their strengths. I've stopped with trying to find a 5 and 0 in 1, like there, 5 and 1, which has all this like wonder person, which has everything in one. Yeah. And then say, okay, but you have maybe that skill. That is not, let's develop that skill. What we do a lot in business.
I don't believe in that.
No. So now I have all my beautiful team members. They all have their specialization. They all have their talent. They like to do that. They're passionate about that, which means they also like sometimes do it in half of the time. Yeah. Which is great. And I don't work anymore. I had that before, but I'm not working currently with full-time employees. They're all entrepreneurs.
Okay.
They're all independent.
And
specialized in what they are good at.
But they work like almost 100% for you?
My lift-off team, for example, they have several clients.
And how do you... that was one of her other questions. She was frustrated and impatient that when she had an idea and she asked something that they then have to wait for 2 or 3 days in order that they have to execute it. Have you some kind of arrangement, or do you book them for like 2 days in a week or something?
Well, mostly I work with an advice that I give everyone is to work with Trello or Asana or something like this kind of planning system, and that you brief them and you say, I lead it at least for that time, and that in generally you don't give people everyday urgencies, because then they cannot jump every time for you. But you can just, when you have a good relationship and you respect them, then when they need to jump one time, they'll jump.
But you cannot expect that the whole time, eh?
No. And even also neither when there's a full-time employee.
Okay.
sometimes, they also don't always jump directly when you ask something.
That's true.
So that means that she probably needs to plan a bit more. And I'm not always the best neither, and that, let's be clear. And my team will also say that. But because I like to work on lots of things at the same time. So I'm creative. I get sometimes ideas and I want it then like tomorrow. And sometimes they say, no, I cannot do it for tomorrow. It will be next week. Like, okay.
Well, I will introduce her to you. So,
that's good. My clients can work also with our lift-off team. So our clients, for example, they need to do their website or anything. They work with the lift-off team, and they can, through that, save a lot of time of not doing the selection themselves.
Now I'm going to ask the final question, although I feel this is just part one.
Yeah, woo-hoo! Let's do it. Looking forward.
Now
I'm up for lots of them. Let's get it on. Now, we can stay the whole night and have directly the episodes ready.
Now, what is your biggest dream? Or biggest dream in terms of crazy? I mean, don't say I want to stand on a stage next to Tony Robbins
that's not crazy.
and Las Vegas. No, I don't think it's crazy. No, I don't think because I had somebody from Singapore. I think it was episode like 20 or something, and she said, I'm going to write a book, and I was like, what is your biggest dream, crazy dream? And she was like, I want to sit next to Oprah next year.
That's cool.
Okay, yeah, but her words were just getting cold, and she was immediately number one on an Amazon seller. So her book, so I was like, you're going to get there anyway.
Oh, but that would be really nice to sit next to Oprah. I got already a hug from Tony Robbins. It was very nice too, because he has very, very big chest, so you can get 5 hats on it. So it was quite nice to feel him.
But if you want to see Oprah, I have a guest who is the neighbor of Oprah. Yes, Jan Bommeré lives next to her.
Oh, that would be a really wet dream. You're joking or not?
No, I'm not.
Okay, wow.
I even have a guest who did something, was it clothing or something for Beyonce? So the world is smaller than you think.
Oh, that's so nice. Yeah, sometimes I must say I feel
you have to think big.
Yeah, but still sometimes I feel a little bit jealous about American teachers, or because it sometimes it does feel like it goes easier. And probably it's not the case. It's just.
I think it's again a limiting belief, because
exactly.
Last night I was looking. I don't know where I got it. I was looking at the biography. I was searching on YouTube of Gauthier. Gauthier is his real name is Wouter de Bakker. They also call him Wally. He's actually from Bruges. He was born in Bruges, but he lives in Australia, and he had a multi-million hit about someone I used to know me or used to think me, or what? It's like in 2011. Yeah. He's actually born in Belgium, but he lives in Australia, and so he was. Yeah. I remember I was in Las Vegas in the plane, and there were somebody you used to know. That was the song. It was a huge hit in 2011, and and I saw it on the small screen on the plane, and I was like, damn. You made it. If they are showing your clip on a plane in the US, but he's actually from Bruges.
Yeah, exactly.
And and he doesn't carry money. So he lives in Australia.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like a multi-million US dollar or whatever artist right now. And yeah, he even ripped some of the notes from a 60s record, but that's another detail. And so I think it's I mean, look even at music. If you look at some the guys from Tomorrowland or some young kid from Martin Garrix who plays big concerts, I'm like, yeah. Or even what's his name from Brussels? But his friend is a French singer. He sings in French or in English. Forgot his name, and he's huge in the US. Papa Way is one of his songs. And his real name is Paul Stromae.
Stromae.
Yeah. I mean, he's big in the US. I mean,
No, so exactly. It's.
I mean, Coldplay was here playing in Brussels. The first concert like years ago was amazing concert.
Because you catch me on exactly. You catch me on not playing big myself here.
Ah, okay. and Chris Martin from Coldplay was taking his guitar. He was playing some kind of riff. He was looping that, and he was actually covering a song from Stromae, and Stromae was standing in the crowd on his feet. I mean, cool. When Coldplay is covering your song, I mean, come on.
Yeah,
so
crazy.
And you think in Belgium it's not possible to conquer the world? So
yeah. No, yeah, exactly. Thank you. So thank you for that mirror. I like it. I like it. You'll keep in my system for a couple of weeks now. You know that this mirror. I like it when people challenge me. So that's good.
The crazy dream.
Yeah, if I really tune into that, it's going to be maybe it would not sound so crazy, but for me it's amazing. If there would be like 1 million people following our Play Big Me program, going into this acceptance, going more into self-love, through which, and I can start crying now, through which they will heal lots of the children in their system. So not only their own children, but their grandchildren and all the kids to come behind and the generations to follow. Yeah, that would be wow concerning leaving a heritage.
That's beautiful. Thanks, Els, for sharing that. Thanks for coming over. I enjoyed it a lot. Yeah, it was amazing. It was one of those conversations. Yeah, it's intense and I will never forget them.
Yeah, thank you very much for allowing the intensity, for allowing me to be me, and for allowing what needed to reveal to be revealed.
Thank you.
Hope you enjoyed this beautiful, inspiring conversation of Peter Snauwaert and me. So if you want to follow us, please do not hesitate to look at the description to follow Peter's podcast and also his YouTube channel. You can find all the descriptions below. And you can, of course, also connect with us on different social media. So don't hesitate to follow us and to get inspired. And if you want to talk to us personally, do not hesitate to send us a mail on hello@elsvanlaken.com. And then we are very happy to make time for you to see how we can help you. Have an amazing, amazing day, and looking forward to inspire you next time.